Hello everyone, welcome back. This is module number 2, and in this module we are going to begin with this chapter Should Wizard Hit Mommy? We have already discussed the biography of the author John Updike and we spoke about the characters as well. So to remind you once again, this chapter is the story about a very young girl who is 4 years old. So her name is Joanne or Jo and she is the daughter of Jack. Jack used to tell her bedtime stories. So let us see what this chapter is about in detail. So let us begin. Every evening and on Saturday afternoon naps, Jack used to tell his daughter Joanne a bedtime story. So this habit started when Jo was 2 years old and now she is 4 years old. So most of the stories that he used to tell Jo revolved around the same plot concerning an animal named Roger. So, in every story, Roger used to be a different animal with some kind of a problem. Then, Roger would go to this wise owl to take help, who would in turn help him to go to the wizard. Then, Roger would take his problem to the wizard, who would help him in exchange for some money, mostly a bit more than what Roger had with him. After helping him, the wizard would ask him to go to a certain place to fetch some more money, and Roger would do exactly like that. Then, after paying the wizard, Roger would go back, and all the other animals would start playing with him. So, he would be very happy, and later he would return home to have dinner with his father. So, this is the storyline that Jack always told Joanne. So, Jack had now started getting tired of this daily routine because Jo did not sleep listening to the story anymore. Jack knew that she won't be sleeping very soon. When Jack asked Jo that who should the story be about this time, she replied that she wanted it to be a skunk. Jack then thought that she must have heard about this animal in nursery school. You can see the image of skunk on screen. A skunk is a very small animal which has got a bad or unpleasant smell. So Jack started this story. Now the Roger is an animal which is a skunk. So Jack said that Roger smelled bad. So he is beginning to narrate the story and says that none of the animals in the forest liked to play with him because of this unpleasant smell. At this moment, Jack was actually recollecting about certain humiliations that he had faced during his childhood. Jack was sitting beside her and noticed that Jo was getting anxious with the story and felt pleased with it, so he did not want to hurry. Suddenly, Jack heard a voice downstairs. He realized that he must go down to help his wife, who was painting the living room. But he had to continue with the story as Jo had not slept yet. Anyhow, Jack continued the story where Roger Skunk is the central character. He says that the Roger Skunk was sad, and as he walked, he came across a tree where he saw the wise owl. Joe shouted enthusiastically that the wise owl would ask him to go to the wizard. Jack got a bit irritated because Jack did not want Joanne to speak in between. Then Jack continued with the story that the owl told Roger to go see the wizard for his problem. Then Joe interrupted him and asked if the magic spells that the wizards used were real. Now, since Joanne was 4 years old, she asked several questions in between the story, and most of the questions were logical, and she was so curious to know about the things. And Jack realized that Jo was coming into reality phase and had started asking questions about the things her parents used to tell her. So somehow Jack replied that the spells were real in stories. He continued with his story that the skunk reached a white house and knocked on the door, which belonged to the wizard. So Jack made his favorite sound effect and continued that wizard asked Roger what he wanted. And what would have the Roger skunk said? He said that he had a very bad smell. And Roger told the wizard that the wise owl had told him that he could help him. So the wizard asked and he took out the magic wand and asked the Roger what he wanted to smell like. And the Roger replied that he wished to smell like roses. Then Jack said the magical words in the voice of a wizard. He continues that the whole house of the wizard was filled with the fragrance of roses. So, in between, Jack made a small mistake and Joe corrected him. Jack was a bit annoyed with Joe's expression, and also he was again noticing the sounds coming from the downstairs because he had to go and help Claire as soon as possible, and she was 6 months pregnant. Now he is somehow trying to continue and end the story. Let us move on. The wizard tells Roger to go towards the magic well where he would find three more pennies. Then Roger did exactly the same. He then gave the pennies to the wizard and ran back to the woods where everybody gathered around him. And everybody was so happy that now Roger's skunk smelled so good. All of them played a lot of games and enjoyed themselves. So finally, as it was getting dark, all the animals ran back to their mommies. We'll look at the second part in the next module, children. Thank you.